Hey everyone, for Neuro Pride 2023, I'd like to introduce you to a really useful word, booming. Uh, this is something which people with hearing loss or with an auditory or language processing difference can particularly experience, and it can be really, really disorienting and distressing. Um, it's a subtype of sensory overload, and it deserves respect and compassion and not judgment. So, what is booming? Well, if you've ever been in a situation where there's just so much going on and so many human voices chattering away all at once, so you couldn't make out what anyone was saying, um, you may have some idea of what booming is all about. And you may have noticed that when you're tired or stressed or distracted, the effect just happens more often. And it also can be much, much worse than it usually is. Basically, there's only so much work that your brain can do at once. And if you're under duress in some way, that's a whole chunk of your thinking capability taken up already. And on top of that, if you have trouble filtering or processing auditory information at the best of times, it gets a lot worse. So, what happens to the sound you hear when booming is happening? Um, Basically, it can become impossible to figure out what bits of voice sound connect to others. Um, and everything, all the voices and some of the background noise as well, all becomes a big seething wall of sounds with no detectable structure to it. Um, Sometimes that wall of sound can take on a random pulsating structure, kind of a buffeting effect, and the sounds can hit you like almost like pummeling gusts of noise, and that's what we call booming. That effect, um, and obviously that only adds to the stress of any experience that you might have been uh, having in the situation in the first place, because most often, not surprisingly, this happens in public places. And in particular in social settings, places like airports or train stations, or in a busy street, or school playground is a common one, or also enclosed spaces like in a busy pub or in a cafe. Um, and it really impacts significantly on an ability that the person has to engage with others, because if you can't make out what other people are saying, and you're being disoriented, it's very difficult to engage with other people, because it's all just noise. And obviously that massively compounds any sense of isolation that you may have associated with social anxiety in the first place, just being there. So if you experience this, it can be very helpful to get people close to you up to speed on what it's like, so that they can give you effective support in situations where you might experience it. Obviously, the best solutions are prevention, so avoiding certain places or certain times of day in certain places, or using tools like ear defenders or earplugs can make a huge difference. Uh, but we can't always plan for every occasion. So when booming happens, spoken communication can be an unviable way to get someone's support or help. So visual or touch signals can be your friend. Having a signal to alert someone you're getting swamped by booming and need to get out can be a bit of a lifesaver for you. It doesn't have to be anything fantastic. It could be something simple like, something like that, or something like that. Um, as long as the other person knows what the gesture means and you've caught their attention, which you can do just by touching them on the arm, um, they can hustle you out of a situation if you're feeling overwhelmed and disoriented in the first place. Um, but it is something which isn't shameful, and it's not something that anyone deserves to be judged for. So, regardless of the circumstances, everybody who experiences something like this should feel entitled and justified to just leave a space if they need to. And if you need to get out, take some space, maybe text somebody and say, look, I had to go and leave, or I'm outside because booming, so be it. Nobody's got the right to judge you for that. That's you doing self-care, and it's a good thing. And if you are that other person, now you know. So be a good ally, okay? No judgment, compassion, respect. Thanks for listening.